Good morning, music listeners. It's a Freudian slip. It's not. I've never said good morning before. It's just where I just woke up. Wow, that was crazy. Hello, music listeners, underground enthusiasts, and anybody who has ever woken up to go to work, realized they woke up a little too late, and said, "Fuck it, this is what I look like," because that's me right now. I had that whole bit planned, and then I said good morning, not on purpose. That wasn't part of the bit. And so that's way funnier than anything that I could have come up with, so I'm just going to leave it in. We've got emo week this week. I didn't do this on purpose, but there were quite a lot of more emo-oriented songs that came out this week that I liked and I thought were good, so we're primarily just going to be talking about those. If my hair looks different between cuts, it's because I'm neurotically fixing it every single time that I take a second to breathe. Anyways, let's get started. First song of the week is going to be Never Know from Lizzy's Personal Army. This is an absolutely killer rock track that uses a couple different sounds pretty beautifully. I love the thrashy garage sound that is teased in the intro and then eventually kind of takes full effect later in the track. It's an abrasive and super oppressive tone that feels crammed into the mix, like completely packed wall to wall in there. It has this sort of tonal warmth to it that really scratches my brain. It otherwise thrives on a real bubbly bedroom rock aesthetic with these real tropical guitar sways and these thick, tinny vocals. It's overall a really well-crafted sound and infinitely fun to listen to. It oozes style and charm. The combination of these heavy, dusty drums and these twinkly key melodies later in the track really seals the deal for me in the end as well. This is already one of my favorite tracks of the year. I think it's really well made and really unique. Please check this one out. Dying for Certain has dropped Cut from the Stem, and this brings the energy back a little bit from our previous track. Dying for Certain delivers on a crawling, timid, lo-fi rock track over some Never Forever production, and these gentle, staticky drums that are pushed far into the background, bouncing under this watery guitar tone that whines in these repetitive strums, is such a such an overtly somber vibe. It's the best parts of like lo-fi and then slacker rock blended together into a single gorgeous sound. And Dying for Certain's vocals on this are so tired, crooning some really well-written imagery with a delivery that bleeds emotion. It's so weary and gloomy. I think this song gives you what you give it and feels like a brief reprieve in the middle of a rainy evening to dive into that kind of imagery. I can't help but eat it up. This sound and general aesthetic, I love it. We got a new heyzbee track with I Think I Like You. This is a cute sort of hopeless romantic track, equally introspective and sappy with some of my favorite writing from heyzbee, because this is a fairly straightforward progression of emotion and vulnerability, with heyzbee sort of laying out this timeline of events, leaving nothing to the imagination, saying it directly. I have these feelings for you, how I messed up back then, where I'm at now, where I want to be going forward. Although it's rather dejected in its tone, these sweet high notes weeping over these guitar plucks and soft ambiences, it does turn out to be a really sweet song. I like it a lot. I also really enjoy the singing on this a lot. As I said, it can get a bit gloomy at times, but at its core, it's a pretty powerful performance. I feel like the song really lets itself breathe, resulting in some high energy, impactful key points. It's a great ballad that's easy on the ears. Switching gears a bit, we have By Your Side featuring Sylatto from Benevolent, which is a smooth and sultry R&B track that is catchy as hell right out the gate. In a recent interview I did with Sewer Person and Jabari on the beat, Sewer Person mentioned this idea of using your vocals as a texture and as an instrument, making the more sonically interesting choices using your voice and making them a part of the dynamics of the track. I feel like Benevolent utilizes this concept here really well. The shiny mix that he has here is the perfect sound for these big nasally inflections and snappy deliveries. Benevolent brings a really great energy to an already super bouncy and infectious beat. And Sylatto is not only killing the production here, but also dropping a really good verse as well, hitting smooth melodies that echo into this absolutely cavernous reverb. This is definitely one that'll get stuck in your head, 100%. A new Vito track with Bite the Bullet featuring Lukas. This song resonates with me a lot because it is so ridiculously classic emo trap in the best way. Vito's initial melodies and mix on these first vocals are pretty gorgeous, with this ever so slightly saturated and dampened mix. It is such a somber, warm tone. It feels vulnerable, going back and forth with this delicate soft tone and half-shouted breaks of emotion. There's something very intoxicating and catchy about it, and honestly, paired with Carter's production, it's all just very clean. It's all cleanly made. And Lukas does a good job breaking up the energy of the track with a more processed, grounded delivery, trading Vito's soft singing for tight bars, and it is a really good contrast for the first half of the song. These artists work well together. I think they bounce off each other really well and bring out the best of each other's verses here. I think that without one or the other, I wouldn't get as much out of it. So this is pretty killer. And shout out to Carter for that production on this as well. I've talked about his music in a couple different areas, mostly on stream, but a couple times on these videos, and I always feel the need to point out how versatile he is as a producer. I feel like these beats are very classic, just you send it out there into the world, you know, let it leave the nest, and people can kind of do anything on them. They leave a lot of room to breathe, they leave a lot of room for creativity, and I think they're very collaborative in nature, which I think is really cool. And the last song we have is Sendflowrs with Smokescreen featuring Hiraeth, and this is honestly one of my favorite Jolts beats in a while. It maintains the core style of these bright, plucky, like kind of like Midwest mathy guitar melodies and these stuttered trap drums, but there's an extra layer of intensity and abrasion to the production here that I think is much more suited to the styles of Sendflowrs and Hiraeth. Because the beat feels frantic in a way, a contrast to Sendflowrs' hazy singing of sappy reassurances and isolation, Hiraeth plays into these ideas well too. This song is kind of angry, and both performances reflect that. It is a super solid emo trap song that gives both artists a chance to show their artistic flair. They work well together, and the song wraps up into being poignant and rather catchy. Emphasis on catchy for Sendflowrs' vocals here, one of my favorite performances from him in recent memory, and I think the mix is just really, really complimentary to what he's got going on here. He plays to his advantages. Hiraeth does the same thing. They sound great on this. They sound really good. And that's going to do it for this week's list. If you listen to these songs, tell me how you feel about them. If you did not listen to these songs, go listen to them, come back, and then tell me how you think about them. I value your opinion. Catch me in the next video where I discuss why your second account has better music than your main artist account. Bye.